with as we test nuclear devices, there's
a book called UFOs and Nukes that a guy named Robert Hastings. I've been trying to get him on here, but he's not in good health right now and he can't travel. But
bummer.
He did that whole book, basically, studying and detailing all the events of UFO sightings over the nuclear bases, shutting down the nuclear bases,
completely shutting them down, and these guys not knowing what to do. They actually have had, and it's called Bentwaters in England, where they didn't have a crash. They had one land, and the commanding officer who was at a Christmas party was actually, this was the second night they had the event. The first night they had it, they reported it, all the security personnel. These are all military guys, all well-trained military guys on a nuclear facility, I might add. So this is an everyday guys. They saw it that night. They reported it, but they didn't want to say really what they thought it was. They just thought it was some sort of down aircraft.
Yeah.
The next night it came back. They went there to go get him and actually brought him back. And these guys actually touched it, put their hands on it. One of the other sergeants actually saw it fly above the area where he said, we can't tell you if there's actually nuclear devices there, but it flew over this one bay, dropped a laser down, went through the roof and into the actual facility, didn't detonate anything, but rendered that bomb that was in there useless for 24 hours. We couldn't use it for that period of time. We don't know what they did to it or how they did it. So again, we were looking at military guys who aren't trying to start a story. They were trying to protect a base, and not able to do it. So, and now if you go back and start doing a research on it, every nuclear base has had some sort of extraterrestrial. So again, are we back to listen, we're going to watch what you guys do to the planet. We can't have you testing this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not good for the planet. It's, bad mojo.
Have you ever heard of atomic veterans?
I have not.
So I forget what it was called, but it was during that period of time where over in, I believe, England, as well as here in the U.S., they would recruit young military kids, like 18, 19, 20 years old. They would recruit them. They would put them on like combat vessels, like aircraft carriers or some shit like that, some sort of ships. They would bring them out into the ocean, and they were testing nukes, and they were using, U.S. military kids that had enlisted in the military, like as young as 18 years old, putting them on these ships, and they were testing nukes. And basically what they would do is, before they would detonate the nuke into the ocean, they would make everyone face the other way, and they would tell everyone to cover their eyes. And there was a lot of people who were a part of this testing, and it fucked them all up for life. Like, lots of them got cancer and died. Majority of them could never have kids. They all explained vividly what it was like, how they had to take off all their clothes after and dispose of all their clothes. A lot of them started losing their teeth.
Wow.
They when the thing detonated, they described seeing even though their eyes were closed and they had their hands over their eyes facing the opposite way, they all could account for seeing. Even though their eyes were closed, they saw the skeleton of their bones in their hands when it happened. And it fucked these people up. Some of them are still alive, and they've done interviews with these guys. I just watched an interview that this kid did where it was a documentary he did where he interviewed probably a dozen of these guys. And it is the most terrifying fucking thing.
Well, here's the strange part about that. On every aircraft carrier that I was ever on, they talk about what happens if a nuke detonates under the boat, what you're supposed to do.
Oh, really?
So that obviously confirms what you're saying, because they know what to do because they've already done it, and they understand what happens. Because what initially happens to the bottom of the ship is the floors buckle. If your feet are touching the floor, you're probably going to get killed, because the way that the ship comes up, the ground up comes up so quick that it would shatter the bones in your body. So they tell you to grab the superstructure above you and get your feet off the deck.
Fuck.
So that would make perfect sense. But again, listen, when you're in the military, you're expendable, and you're part of the deal. We took shots before going to Spain.
They were detonating these nukes like probably miles away from the ship.
Sure.
They were still doing that. I couldn't imagine what it would be like if a nuke detonated under them.
Under the ship.
Like a sub or something.
So, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous all the way around. To even think you would survive it, first of all, because we always kind of laughed. I'm like, what? Is that really going to be the biggest thing on our mind? Like, get your feet off the deck.
Right.
A nuke's gone off underneath of us. I don't think if we even heard the nuke, I'd be surprised.
Right.
So, like I say, to see that go on, I mean, listen, even when I was on the USS Lexington, which was a training vessel. It actually still had a wooden deck, believe it or not, out of Pensacola, Florida. And we would go out for 6 weeks and then come back in. And all of the pilots came from Corpus Christi, Texas. And so they would fly out there and meet us, and they would do all their landing ops, and we would train them how to land on boats. And so behind the ship one night, and I was standing back there, and they actually call it phytoplankton that would turn green and come out from the bottom of the ship. And these big green balls of light would get shot out of the bottom of the ship. I'd be standing, this had been the very rear of the ship called the fantail. And I would stand back there at night when I was off and just kind of enjoy the evenings and these big green balls. So now, even today, I'm like, were those really? What were those I was looking at that were in the water?
There's lots of bioluminescent sea life out, especially far out in the Gulf like that.
Well,
I've seen.
And listen, you've seen them along the shoreline, especially on heavy waves come in and you see them. Okay, so it was that color. Okay, but these were big balls, dude. I mean, like 3 or 4 cars. If you put them all together and put a ball around that big, they were huge.
Really?
So it wasn't like a film at the top of the water. It was something that was being shot, almost like something was playing like in the draft of the ship. And like I say, monster. I mean, this is an aircraft carrier, so it gives you an idea. It's a big boat.
I'm sure there were any guys like fishing, like dragging lines behind the boat, like you can, because that's how you catch what's it called? I think it's swordfish.
Sailfish, yeah.
No, swordfish.
Is it swordfish?
Swordfish. You fish for it at night.
Oh.
And you drop on your line when you're fishing for them. You drop these fucking night sticks. What are they called? The glow in the dark sticks.
Yep. No, we actually used to tie our clothes and put them on ropes and hang it over the side if we had to wash them sometimes because we didn't have any fresh water on the boat, so they would say, "Hey, wash your clothes on the side." So
that's fucking crazy. Yeah. That doesn't sound like a very good way to get your clothes clean.
Not unless you like that salt water.
Yeah,
right.
At
least they didn't stink, so that was the plus side of it.
How far out into the ocean, or how like far offshore did the boats go?
I mean, you wouldn't see shore.
Right.
You wouldn't see shore, so you'd be probably out in the middle of the Gulf.
Okay.
And again, they were
especially
trying to
if planes were coming from Texas.
Yeah, well, and they wanted to give the guys a full experience. So, obviously as a ship pitches and rolls, that's the hard part for the pilot coming into land. So as the ship pitches and rolls and tries to do what it's doing, so they would put us in the deepest part of the water to try to get the ship to emulate that because we were a small aircraft carrier compared to what they were going to be landing on once they made the fleet. So,
right.
Even again, going back and look at these guys that witnessed these UFOs throughout, actually up and down the East Coast of Florida. They were all on there. I think they were on the USS Carl Vinson. And they started.
Did you give a video of that? Did you give us a video of that one too? The ones on the East Coast. No. That was the one that was on the plane's radar.
I think the one that Lieutenant Gray saw was the gimbal. I think there's some video on that.
One,
it's called the gimbal.
Yeah.
And that was the one that ATIP came out and said, "Hey, we're going to show you this one, and we're going to show you the other one from David Fravor."
Yeah.
So, and those guys have come out. I mean, full fledged. They've not been told, "Hey, don't talk about this." He said, "We were never told not to discuss it." And so here we are. We're having this discussion. Other than now that the Pentagon has said, "Hey, we have been dealing with crashed UFO material." They've come short of not saying aliens. They just said UFO, so it's unidentified, which could be anything at that point. Is it the Russians?
What's up, world? You just watched a clip from one of our exclusive Patreon episodes. That's right, you can get weekly, pure, uncut content straight from the jungles of Colombia. If you want to watch the full episode, make sure you go to patreon.com/concretevideos. Peace.